This is Al Jazeera.
Hello, welcome to the News Hour in Doha. I'm Adrian Finighan. The top stories on Al Jazeera. Israel frees 26 prisoners ahead of planned negotiations with the Palestinians. We're live in Ramallah and at the State Department in Washington. Police in Egypt push back protesters as pro-Morsi supporters step up their campaign.
I'm Maryam Nemazee with the top stories from Europe, including back to school, how Angela Merkel has swapped her job as German Chancellor to be a teacher.
And I'm Phil Lavelle in the show home of the future. Find out what these high-tech houses are capable of, indeed, who can afford to live here, later in the programme.
The ground is being prepared for negotiations on one of the longest-standing conflicts in the world. Israel has begun the process of releasing 26 Palestinian prisoners ahead of talks in Jerusalem on Wednesday. Most of the prisoners have been convicted of killing Israeli civilians or suspected Palestinian collaborators. Crowds of friends and family are waiting for them back in the West Bank and Gaza. Their release is part of a US-brokered deal to get the two sides back to the negotiating table after a 5-year freeze. Let's take you live now to Ramallah. Al Jazeera's Sue Turton is outside the presidential palace there. Sue.
Yes, Adrian, things are heating up, if I may say, here. Hundreds of family members, friends come down here to see just 11 prisoners released from the Israeli prison. We heard that they were released from Ayalon in central Israel quite a couple of hours ago now.
Plenty more news still to come here on the News Hour. Trouble in Tunisia, the country that kicked off the Arab revolutions, faces more political unrest. We'll tell you about that. Plus, villagers versus developers as the urban sprawl spreads across China. Al Jazeera meets the families who've been affected. And a little later in sport, could the darling of Russian athletics find her way back on top of the podium? Joe will be here with the very latest from Moscow. Mali's President-elect Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta has met his former opponent, Soumaïla Cissé. Keïta emerged as the winner of Sunday's runoff election after Cissé conceded defeat. The new president faces planning Mali's recovery after a 2012 coup and an uprising in the north. Keïta says that he hopes that Mali will become more united following his victory.
This is the symbol of the new Mali, of a Mali now confident of its success, following the line that the voters have wished for and have wanted. I believe it is Mali that has won.
The German Chancellor Angela Merkel has gone back to school to be a teacher for the day to mark the anniversary of the building of the Berlin Wall. For more on that, let's cross to Maryam Nemazee in our European News Centre in London. Maryam.
It's a bit of a change, isn't it, Adrian, from her day-to-day routine? But yes, Mrs. Merkel was invited to step in as a substitute teacher for a 45-minute lesson for teenagers in Berlin. She took the opportunity to relate her own experience of the city's Cold War division. The one-day career change comes on the eve of her election campaign, officially kicking off ahead of a September vote, as Paul Brennan now reports. That's all from me for now. Much more coming up from Europe a bit later in the programme, including, once ridiculed for her botched attempt to restore a fresco of Christ, this Spanish artist has had her prayers answered. We'll tell you how.
And music. Of sorts, at least to investors' ears. But what does the sale of Steinway mean for the piano maker's future? And ahead of their friendly, the Italian and Argentinian football teams meet a fan at the Vatican. The details coming up in about 20 minutes with Joe. Hello again, this is the News Hour from Al Jazeera. Adrian Finighan here in Doha with the top stories. Israel's begun the process of releasing 26 Palestinian prisoners. It's the first part of an agreed release plan ahead of peace talks in Jerusalem on Wednesday. Palestinians have gathered at the Erez crossing in Gaza to celebrate. Egypt's health ministry says that 9 people have been injured in clashes in the capital, Cairo. The clashes came as Egypt's military rulers swore in 25 new governors, the majority of them from the army and police. And Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta has won Mali's presidential election with more than half the vote. He's vowed to unify the country and to convince donors to release billions of dollars in aid. The U.S. Justice Department has filed a case to block the merger of American Airlines and U.S. Airways. The $11 billion deal would form the world's largest airline, but there are concerns that it would reduce competition in the domestic market and push up airfares. Both airlines say they'll fight the injunction. For more on this, let's go live now to New York. John Terry. Just ahead, Joe will have the latest on a spot-fixing scandal that's gripped cricket in Bangladesh. Plus, he's known for his stony expressions, even in the face of victory. But has Jason Duffner been blown away this time by his major win? And find out what happened when this goalkeeper in Peru tried to waste time. Joe has all the details in just a moment. Hello again. Chords of discontent are being heard across the music world. Piano maker Steinway & Sons has agreed to a $477 million offer by a private equity firm. Kristen Salumi has more now on what the sale will mean for music lovers. Yes, I'm assured that that's modern classical.
Someone out there likes that sort of thing, Adrian.
Yeah. Here's Joe with the sport.
Thank you very much. The Queen of Russian athletics, Yelena Isinbayeva, is back on top of the podium after delighting her home crowd at the World Athletics Championships in Moscow. Isinbayeva earned her third world title in the pole vault after clearing a height of 4.89 meters. She beat Olympic champion Jen Suhr. It came 5 years after her last major outdoor pole vault victory. She even went. And over in Peru, a goalkeeper's time-wasting shenanigans came back to haunt him. Just 6 minutes into the match against top club Sporting Cristal, Juan Flores thought he could outwit the opposition with some fancy footwork. But it backfired and his Unión Comercio team lost 2-0. They're currently struggling at the bottom of the league table. That's just so bad, Adrian. I just can't stop watching it. It's too bad.
It's made my day, and it gets better every time I watch it. Joe, many thanks indeed. Maryam's here with more news on Al Jazeera in just a couple of moments. I'll see you again. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.